Hello and welcome to Bharat Reloaded, a special series of programs to commemorate 12 years of the Narendra Modi government. This particular government, since it took office in 2014, has focused extraordinarily on national security issues and reforms that have ushered in a new paradigm for India's security. What are those issues and what has the military done in these last 12 years is something that we are looking at. And who better than India's Chief of Defense Staff, General Anil Chauhan, to take us through the reforms done in the military and the way forward as far as the Indian military is concerned. General Chauhan, thank you very much for your time and coming into the Doordarshan studio.
Thank you, Nathan.
So we are talking about the last 10 to 12 years of this government and the kind of national security reforms that have ushered in. I particularly want to start with your position or your post, the Chief of Defense Staff. It was actually recommended by the Kargil Review Committee in 1999 post the Kargil war. What has the post of Chief of Defense Staff brought to the military, if you can tell us?
You see, you rightly said that the Kargil Review Committee had recommended appointment of a Chief of Defense Staff to provide single point military advice to the government. They had also recommended creation of headquarter integrated defense staff to promote jointness and integration among the three services. In 2021, government raised headquarter ideas. That I think was an excellent initiative. But it was headed by a CISC, which was a three-star officer, so it lacked the teeth. And when they appointed the CDS, so headquarter IDS got that particular teeth and authority to implement reforms. So ever since headquarter IDS has been spearheading these reforms, creating jointness and integration among the three services. And that's what should I say is CDS has provided probably that direction and speed, Gati and Disha both to these particular reforms. So it's been a roller coaster ride after that.
After 2020 when it was first
21,
created.
yes, yes.
But you also wear three different hats. For our viewers, benefit, we must say what those are. You are the permanent chairman of the Chiefs of Staff Committee. You are the Secretary, Department of Military Affairs, and the Chief of Defense Staff. Sometimes, right at the beginning, and even through this 6 years or so, people have been saying that as a four-star general, you're becoming a secretary of a department has lowered the status of a four-star general. How do you meet that criticism?
I don't think it's correct. You should not equate your status to a particular rank. Your work actually should determine your status. The credibility of what you do will be out of the results which you produce. So I think these two things should be totally delinked. Coming on to Secretary DMA, when this Kargil Review Committee had made this recommendation, this DMA was nothing in sight. It was when the post of CDS was being created, they created the DMA and appointed me also as secretary. Now the armed forces were not they had not asked for it, they are not prepared for it, but I think it was a far-reaching reform. The authority of CDS is implemented through the office of Secretary DMA. Both go hand in hand. The secretary actually tries to make this process irreversible and solidifies any kind of a reform by issue of government sanction letters, by issue of joint orders and instructions. So they both complement each other. So it's a very good thing which the government has done by creating this post, and both this post actually complement each other.
They go hand in hand, as you said.
Yes.
But just taking it forward a little bit about Secretary, Department of Military Affairs, you, by virtue of that post, you also become part of what is called the administrative structure of the government, the framework where all departments have the secretary. The secretaries have the power of finance, sanctions, like you mentioned. Uh, how has that helped? If you can explain a little bit more, although you mentioned that they go hand in hand for CDS, because CDS looks after the jointness and integration, which we'll come to in a moment. But Department of Military Affairs probably brings in the legal aspects or the administrative aspects, which gives you that much more strength. Is that correct reading?
Yeah, you're partly correct. Department of Military Affairs is not only kind of solidifying or say carrying out reforms which IDS is proposing. It's also a Department of Military Affairs for the three services. Three services also have their agendas. They want to modernize, they want to move ahead. And all those government sanctions, etc., are processed through the office of CDS. So he understands what all the three services requirement is and what is the requirement of headquarter ideas. So they all work in harmony.
Sure. And also, you also attend because of being a secretary of DMA. You attend all the secretary meetings with the Prime Minister, the higher authorities, other ministers. Does that bring in a lot of synergy?
Yeah, so you attend the Council of Ministers meeting, number of them. So you, as a armed forces officer in uniform, you understand how the government is thinking, what are they working on, and then you can actually tell that to pass it down to the services, which earlier were missing actually. So there's a link now between what government thinks and how the services get involved into it.
So, in a way, it's a far-reaching reform than just the
Yes.
CDS's post or the Chief of Defence Staff post. Let's come back to the CDS post. Now, you are like you said, the man in charge of jointness integration, because the mandate, when it was notified, when General Rawat became the first CDS, was that you will ensure jointness, integration, and bring in the combat effectiveness of the three services. How have you progressed on that in the last 6 years?
Uh, One of my mandate has been, that to promote jointness and finally leading on to creation of joint structures like theater commands. So evident, the synergy between the three services was actually evident during Operation Sindoor, the different kind of operation which we fought, and it gave me quite happiness actually. Whatever you actually tested, tried to reform, that is actually put in test operationally. That doesn't happen, or whatever you try and reform, but this happened during my lifetime. It was a great opportunity and got tested or validated to that extent.
So again, explain that a little bit. When you say it got tested, because you were trying to put in structures, you have put in structures, joint structures. You have changed a lot of laws, basic structures, brought in joint training. A number of initiatives you took about Ran Samvad, a future warfare course, all that. And parallelly, Operation Sindoor happened last year. How did that help? Because if you explain how that operation took place and what was your role and what is the role of integration, that will be beneficial for the viewers.
So actually, I explained what a CDS is. Also explained what is the role of Secretary DMA. I think the third part,
That's
Chairman Chief of Staff Committee,
correct.
that particular aspect has got left out. I think in this particular war, the Chief of Staff Committee had an important role. It was a link between the higher political authority and the military. The operations were carried out by the three services.
Sure.
Headquarter IDS was carrying out joint integration between them. Whatever Chief of Staff Committee was actually asking them to do, that was being implemented by Headquarter IDS and the services. So COSC had an important role, and the Chairman Chief of Staff Committee, because I'm the permanent chairman, that had a role. In this also, you had, because been working on this number of initiatives, actually were working towards operational efficiency and administrative efficiency. So we knew what exactly is to be done for what. So whether it is communications, whether it is air defense, whether it's counter UAS systems, wherever we thought there could be a gap in a preparedness or response, we quickly were able to cover it up.
And as permanent chairman, chiefs of staff, you also had the visibility about all the three services together. As one person, one post actually has that. If I know, and from whatever I have done in my reporting career, the three services earlier used to not know about the other one in such detail, like something of that kind did happen in Operation Sindoor.
Yes, of course. Something like Navy had capability of lateral ammunition, which the other two services did not have long range. I knew it, and that was actually used by the Army and the Air Force both. So we used naval Marcos in Punjab and in JNK for long range targeting. So that's just one example. But among the services also, they started knowing each other. So like we had visibility into each other's inventories, couple of equipment which are unserviceable. We knew that they are spare with some other service. They were cross exchanged, and you got your equipment serviceable, especially important equipment like MR SAMs, Akash, which is held by all three services. So yes, some of these initiatives, there are actually number of initiatives.
I know about 200
us.
odd plus, I think,
Yeah.
initiatives that you had mentioned in the earlier discussion that we had. But this is extraordinary. I mean, reforms, people normally think it's big bang reforms, but these are all small reforms which have resulted in this effectiveness which was demonstrated during Operation Sindoor. Now, you put in kind of structures for joint training, like I mentioned, and which you have mentioned earlier elsewhere. How does this translate now going forward? I mean, your successor will have to take it forward. But where have you brought this journey to?
Uh, so you mentioned joint training. Actually, training is on one of the 9 verticals which we are working at. It is operations, intelligence, operation logistics. It's about communications. It is about HR. It's about legal issues. It's about administration. It's about training, and it's about procurements.
Right.
In all these issues, there are a number of initiatives that we have taken to bring in about jointness. Some may be very small initiatives, will be translating into small orders, but some initiatives are huge. They'll require a lot of investments, like visibility of each other's inventory will require investments, ERP solution, because inventories are developed separately. Some may be just SOPs like operational planning or appreciations, etc. Simple formats. We have recently issued a joint services staff duties pamphlet, and for the first time issued it in bilingual.
Oh,
So today you can actually use Hindi also to write an official letter, mail, telegram.
right.
Number of initiatives across the board have been taken.
So let me bring you to procurements, because one of the key policy reforms that the government has done since the beginning is, earlier it was called Make in India, now it is described as Atmanirbharta. It's the same thing, but how has that vertical really got reformed, and how is it progressing as far as three services are concerned because of your post and the kind of jointness that is coming? Atmanirbharta in defense.
I think let it first people must understand that this is a operational necessity, Atmanirbharta. Warfare is moving from platform centric warfare to net centric warfare. If you have a foreign platform, networking on your weapon systems onto it is impossible because no one shares source codes, etc. Networking into a larger system is a problem if you have a foreign platform. Technology is changing fast. When you have to upgrade a particular system, you can't do it. You'll have to depend on foreign OEMs.
Sure.
Today, even for maintenance support, if you're looking at maintenance support, you have to send all your data to the foreign OEM. So it's a matter of secrecy. It's a matter of security. What you want are surge capacities. You can't have that because your production lines are lying somewhere else, and those production lines may also be dependent on supply chains which are lying outside those countries. So it's a huge issue. So there is no going away from Atmanirbharta. Atmanirbharta also helps you in surprise. Means if you buy a foreign equipment or missile on it, the world knows the range of those missiles, the capability, the speed, the kind of acceleration it has, the flight profile, and they can have evasive measures. But if it's your own, at least first few these things, there will be a surprise. So that particular part, that since warfare is evolving and technology is evolving fast, there is no escaping from Atmanirbharta.
Sure.
And that's where I think there's a great amount of realization among the three services. That's the way forward to give you strategic autonomy. And it will be a matter of pride for us, everyone, use your systems in your manner.
So, yeah, I think you mentioned it somewhere, I don't remember who exactly, but winning Indian wars with Indian solutions was something which was
Yeah, so it
mentioned.
is not only weapon systems, it's also about your strategies.
Exactly.
Your
So,
thought process has to also Indianize. You can't depend on foreign strategies, foreign tactics.
True.
It should be based on our challenges. It should be based on rooted in our geography and should be inspired from our history. So that's another thing in which we must work. Atmanirbharta is not only defense production; it's also about defense R&D, but also about strategy.
And which we have now drawing from the some of our ancient texts and ancient
Yes,
stratagems that are there.
Yeah.
I think that has been one of the more lesser known aspects of jointness and Atmanirbharta.
Yeah. So no, in some manner, when we talk about future warfare, we're not talking about future warfare. When I said it's rooted into Indian geography, I said Indian history,
Right.
Indian challenges, Indian terrain. So we are trying to find solutions, or we're trying to visualize how future wars will be fought under Indian conditions. So we're trying to develop Indian solutions Indian tactics, and based on that, we're looking at, what kind of weapon systems which we have, what kind of integration which we require, and most of the solutions which helped us say during Operation Dur or still helping us are largely related to integration, softwares, applications that have been developed by us. A
That's right.
platform may be foreign, but finally it's integrated into our systems, applications by us.
How you used it, how you deployed it,
Yes.
and how you applied it. That is extraordinarily different from the other militaries. But there's also this problem that used to be faced by the Indian military about manufacturing capability. Indian companies not being able to come up to the mark that you expected. But again, because of the policy reforms in defense procurement, uh, sort of ushered in by the government, you've also seen a lot of change in the Indian defense ecosystem, especially the Indian defense companies. How do you see that?
So that's because of you rightly identified policy reforms. Like we have said, for this particular year, 75% of our procurement, capital procurements, will be from industries which are domestic. That's one. So the defense industry is assured that there will be inflow of capital into them, so they can accordingly invest in technologies and weapons and systems. Second, whenever we give an approval for a particular weapon or a system, any service, DSC approvals gives it with how much percentage will be indigenous. That's the second thing. And in some initiatives where there's a requirement of bulk production or low cost technology, say say ammunition, the infantry or the army requires 175 types of different ammunition over a period of time with the sustained kind of an effort. All of them have been ignited, less 12. And 12 maybe, which are, say, equipment which is likely to be obsolete, or it may be in very less quantities, so it not make it economically viable. So number of such initiatives have been taken towards Indianization and helping the defense industry. And I'm not talking about only capital acquisition, but
Right.
also for sustenance. So most of the spare parts, even if it's a foreign equipment, we're trying to Indianize so that we are able to maintain that equipment, through Indian sources.
True. So, but Indian sources, have they come up? I mean, have they extraordinarily sort of risen to the occasion? Because Operation Sindoor, as one of the lesser known aspects that has been spoken about, is also how the Indian industry also rose to the occasion, apart from the military itself. What has been your experience in that?
So let me give you an example of offensive and defensive both
Sure.
systems. So like we all know that in offensive system BrahMos was used. We used Pinaka systems. We used number of indigenous larger ammunitions and drones. As for a defensive, we had counter drone systems which were indigenously produced both by DPSUs and private industry.
Right.
We also had Akash missile system, which is produced by DPSU. But lesser known is that integration part which I'm talking about.
Exactly.
So we were able to integrate our air defense systems, communication architecture, counter US systems through Indian solutions, Indian networks. And those networks, at least when they ran terrestrially, were secured by Indian BUs, encryption, etc., was Indian. We, in fact, also the services were using their own, mobile services like AFNet for the ASL, that's for the Air Force, and we have Samba phones. So Samba phones came in very handy. We were able to distribute it not only to the three services, but also to important functionaries and government of India.
Ah.
So all of us during Sindoor for the 20 days, we are under secure communication, and digitally we are isolated from rest of the world.
So that is
That's a
extremely important.
yes, and that was all indigenous solutions.
So
Yeah.
actually, the solutions have been found within the country
Yes,
in
and
that
they've been
sense.
used
They've
extensively,
been
and
used.
yes.
So now you will obviously build on this. Both the military and the industry will build on the success and the utilization of all these technologies. You've also spoken a lot about future or the nature and the character of the warfare, how it is changing, and how we are going to face different challenges going forward. How are you looking at that, and how the services ultimately it has to be the joint theatre commands that is the ultimate aim of the first set of reforms, I would say. So where are we on that front?
So means we all know that the warfare is at a cusp of a major change. Future wars will be all multi-domain, not single. Uh, domains, service specific domains. We also know that future wars will be kind of network, maybe a mix of contact and non-contact, kinetic and non-kinetic kind of operations. So that's how future wars would be, and we need to actually work towards adapting this into our ecosystem. So that would require changes right in our structure, some organizational changes, doctrinal changes. So we all of this is in being worked at simultaneously. Like we have visioning is important for any kind of an reform or change. If you do any change management requires vision, so we have a vision document which looks up till 2047.
That
Uh,
Viksit Bharat 2047
yes,
you
yes,
mentioned. Yes.
we try to align it with this,
Right.
and it's not a document in isolation. It's got the concurrence of not only three services, all departments of MOD. We have also run it through Niti Aayog and NSCS. So means everyone is on board when we say that we want this is the defense forces vision. Similarly, we have doctrinally, conceptually, we have a number of doctrines which have been issued. To implement that, we have a number of joint training institutions which have come up. Within existing institutions, there have been a number of reforms that we have undertaken. And finally, structural restructuring of our system would be what normally is anticipated as theater commands.
True. One of the extraordinary highlights of Operation Sindoor, I'm going back to it because of the discussion that we're doing on reforms, was also the politico-military synergy. The directions which were there, the clear directives, and then the deployment and the application of force was left to the military. How did that work? Because that itself is I would say, a reform in the mindset.
Yeah, so you know, there's a close connect between politics and war.
Of
Yes,
course.
Clausewitz said that
Sure.
war is a continuation of politics by other means. So the politico-military objectives for the war are defined by the political authority,
Sure.
and they couldn't have been a greater clarity in what the government wanted to achieve, and they told us quite decisively. So there was absolute clarity, freedom of action to do this. That I think was important. And third was even guidance and monitoring to a large extent on what the services were doing, and it's not in the beginning and the end, but even as
During
days
the
during this
operation.
operation.
I see.
So that thing I think was a major change, and that helped us all. So that's at the strategic level, you could
Right.
say. At the operational level, I think what made us succeed was, because of this integration, we had this battlefield transparency. We had probably better situational awareness over what was happening on our territory and the adversary's territory than what the adversary had. So I personally believe that they were almost blind during this 88-hour conflict, and this helped us. This helped us for escalation control. It helped us for application of force. It helped us when we had to exit. I must also mention that during this period, there's a lot of synergy between the services and other instruments of power.
Okay.
So, and for that, largely the office of NSA was responsible. So there was great synergy between us and the intelligence agencies, intelligence flow. We would have demonstrated precision,
Right.
but the accuracy of intelligence as to
Who
what
was
exists and who
important.
was there, that was important. That
Yes.
was by agencies. So Information Broadcasting Ministry setting out the narrative.
Right.
We had some cooperation with ISRO, space, MEA, huge cooperation with MEA because we had to work closely and whatever
Seamlessly.
we
Yeah.
seamlessly. You've seen that
Yes.
during this briefings, etc.
Correct.
The armed forces and MEA. So we all MSCAPF, great role played by MHA, Coast Guard. So all these people were some kind of synergy was there, as because of means I can only talk about our integration and jointness, but
Sure.
a larger effort was because of NSA's office or political direction.
So actually, that term got practically implemented. The whole of nation
Oh
approach.
yes,
In that sense. Whole of
or
nation.
civil military cooperation.
Civil military cooperation or fusion, whatever you want to call it. But one final thought from you. You've interacted with the Prime Minister, all these 3.5 years. I'm surely quite closely. Like you said, clarity of the political directions during Sindoor. But freedom of action is also important for the military. what stands out for you in the decision making at the higher level? The Raksha Mantri, the Prime Minister, the NSA you have already mentioned, but as a military officer, how do you sort of see this as a defining factor or a contributory factor?
Uh, Armed forces will be always looking at clarity. Armed forces are the only one in this which normally see things in black and white.
Yes,
Yes
exactly.
and no, wrong and right.
Right.
If you give an order, turn right, everyone turns right. So for us, when you are put in a gray zone, it becomes difficult for us. So if there is political clarity as to what you want to do, how much you want to achieve,
Right.
then of course armed forces know. Then they can plan and do these things
That's right.
properly. So I think that is very important. And when I say political leadership, is a leadership means Raksha Mantri is there, Prime Minister is there. So all of them actually give that clarity, that kind of authority to us, and that actually helps us. Second is that confidence in the armed forces ability that they'll be able to deliver. That's another thing. Means while we repose our confidence, the political leadership also reposes confidence. These two things also go hand in hand, and that's why that freedom of action is the third part. One could say.
True. Finally, you had an extraordinary 3.5 years, I would say, busy, productive, I'm sure. What you look forward for the success of your initiative finally, fructifying into something more tangible as you're going forward? What do you expect in that?
So I think whatever we uh, should have actually terminated into creating of this theatre commands. But like I said, theatre command is not an end state of reforms. It may be the beginning of new set of reforms, which is faster and more capability building. So we are not waited for that. So we've continued with jointness, integration, work on theatre commands, and future reforms and future capability building simultaneously. All these processes need to be carried forward. No process means you can't say that even if we create a theatre command of what we've submitted, that's the ideal state. After 5 years, I'm sure we'll have to review it because things are changing so fast.
True.
So reforms would be a continuous process. If you think that we've done this and then we'll base
Stop here.
glory and
It's not
stop,
going to
and no,
happen.
it's not going to happen
Right.
because things are changing very, very fast.
So I think that's very well defined as far as reforms are concerned. It's a continuous process. And it will be tweaked as things develop and as the situation evolves. I think that is the extraordinary achievement of headquarter IDS under you, the DMA, and the post of CDS. Thank you very much for your time and all the insights that you've given us. We really value what the policies that have been ushered in, and I think the government has done well in these 12 years to finally come to this stage from where it started. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nitin. Thank you.
That was India's Chief of Defence Staff General Anil Chauhan speaking to you. Keep watching Doordarshan. I am Nitin Go.